Attentive listening, articulate speech, intuitive understanding, discernment. These are all different things that a person needs to do as far as during his learning. You have to make sure that you're listening to when someone speaks chokhmah. When someone is not speaking chokhmah, you have to make sure you're not listening. People have a tendency to speak a lot of shtuyot, a lot of nonsense. You have an obligation to not listen to them. In fact, you should try to run away from it as much as possible. Don't allow yourself to just sit there and entertain their shtuyot. If you see that somebody who just constantly has nonsense to say, you have to start becoming creative by either start saying divrei chokhmah, study enough where you always have something on the tip of your tongue that you could say, that you could use whatever shtuyot they have and get a chidush out of it. The guy says something about, oh yeah, this guy stole from me, I can't believe it. It's like, you know what? Gim gezel. You know what happens with Gim gezel? You start telling him halacha of gezel. He's talking to you about how he's upset that somebody stole from him, and you're going to teach him some halacha about gezel. And so on and so forth. You have to study enough to have something at the tip of your tongue. If you're not a speaker, you're not comfortable speaking, doesn't make you a criminal, just gives you less choices. What's the choice now? Listen, I'll get back to you. I got to go. Where you got to go? I have this thing I don't really want to talk about. I got to go somewhere. Where do you want to go? You have to go learn Torah. You have to go do something else. Why? You're going to waste your life listening to shtuyot? Just think about it. You don't have to lie to them and tell them, listen, I got to go do something and make up. You don't have to lie. Mitvak shechet dichak. You don't have to lie. Just say, I got to go do something. What's something? It's private. It's private. I have to tell you, you're my boss. I have to tell you everything I do. People feel like they have this obligation to tell people every detail. You don't need to tell them anything. I just got to go. Where? It's private. Got stuff to do. Oh, I thought you were just hanging out with us today. No. I wish. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I wish. There's a wish. There's a wish, isn't it? But you got to go. Why? Because I'm trying to get somewhere. Where are you going? It's private. Where are you trying? In your mind, you think, I'm trying to get to Olam Haba. I can't get to Olam Haba with your nonsense. So you don't want to necessarily embarrass every single person in your life, because that's not necessarily going to get them closer to Hashem, but it doesn't mean you have to entertain their nonsense. The point being, Rabotai, is that a person needs to be creative in order to be an Eved Hashem, because it's a constant job. So you have to pay attention when it's appropriate. You have to run away from nonsense when things are inappropriate. The only thing that's going to get you to constantly have this on your mind is if you have awe and reverence, if you have Yirat Shamaim, if you're afraid to lose Olam Haba, if the only rabbis and speakers that you listen to are people that keep telling you the same lie, that every Jew has a share of the world to come, meaning that no matter what you do, you're going to heaven. If these are the only people you listen to, then guess what? Yirat Shamaim and you have nothing to do with each other. There's no such thing as Yirat Shamaim if you think that you're guaranteed a place in heaven. No such thing. Why? Because Yirat Shamaim is based on the possibility of losing it. One of the things that I learned from Rav Nisim, again, Alav Shalom, it's every single one of his shiurim. I must have listened to a few hundred of his shiurim. And every single one of the shiurim of Rav Mizrahi, I must have listened to at least 1,500 to 2,000 of shiurim. And every single shiur of Rav Ephraim, I've listened to 9 years of his shiurim. I don't know how many shiurim that is. It's 9 years. Calculate how many shiurim you can fit in 9 years. That's how many shiurim. And guess what? They all have the same message. What's the message? No Yirat Shamaim, nothing. You have nothing. If you don't have Yirat Shamaim, you have nothing. Even if they're talking about Shlom Bayit, Yirat Shamaim. If they're talking about Emunah, Yirat Shamaim. Talk about any business, everything has something to do with Yirat Shamaim. Why? Yirat Shamaim means, listen, buddy, you can lose. But so much so that mamash, when you listen to the words, again, sometimes you listen to the shul a few times, you listen to the words again, they're trying to tell you a message. What are they all trying to tell you? What is the Chachamim trying to tell you in the Torah constantly? David HaMelech cries constantly to Hashem. What is he crying about? You're David HaMelech. If I was David HaMelech, I wouldn't cry. If I was David HaMelech, I wouldn't cry. Why? I'm David HaMelech. That's why I'm not David HaMelech. If I was the fourth one in the Merkava, I'm not crying at all. I'm saying, hey guys, don't talk to me like this. I'm the fourth in the Merkava. I'm bringing the Shechina with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Do you guys even know who you're dealing with here? That's why I'm not David. But David HaMelech cried, non-stop cried. Moshe Rabbeinu cried. Hashem showed him Gehenom and Mount Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu started shaking uncontrollably. That's what Midrash says. He started shaking uncontrollably. He says, Hashem, what is this? What is this? Hashem says, this is where I put the Reshaim. He started shaking uncontrollably. Moshe Rabbeinu. We're not talking about Moshe from the supermarket. Moshe Rabbeinu. He starts shaking uncontrollably. Why are you shaking, Moshe? Why? We know why he shook. Why? Because Hashem told us why he shook. Hashem says to Moshe, don't worry. You will never be here. This is a one-time look. You're never going to enter here. Which means that Moshe Rabbeinu, Kodesh Kodashim, greatest human ever, was afraid to lose everything and go to Gehenom. And we, that we don't even know Halachot Shabbat correctly, we're sure we're going to Gan Eden. Gehenom, us, this generation. No, are you crazy? Why are you fanatic? Moshe Rabbeinu was scared, but we're not scared. So if the only people that you're listening to and the only books that you're reading are constantly telling you that you're going to Gan Eden no matter what you do, guess what? Yirat Shamaim and you have nothing to do with each other. And guess what? Somebody doesn't have Yirat Shamaim, it's not going to Gan Eden. He's not going to Gan Eden. Why? He can't follow the law. You cannot follow the law because one of the halachot is to have Yirat Shamaim. One of the halachot is to have Yirat Shamaim. When you have Yirat Shamayim, it's going to lead you to have humility. It's going to lead you to have happiness, joy. Why? Because you know what you're dealing with. When you know you're dealing with Hashem, it creates happiness. Somebody asks, one of the Admorim, I don't understand. How are you such a smart person? You know so many things. How do you serve this God of yours without really understanding every one of his mitzvot? How do you serve him? Like, I don't understand. The Admor tells him, I would have a much more difficult time serving a God that I can understand every one of the things he said. Because that would mean he's like me. As the Rambam says, if I understood him, I would be him. You're not going to understand everything. In fact, the only thing you should try to understand is that your goal in life should be to become an Eved Hashem. But once you know that you're working for the best, it creates joy. It creates a pure heart. Your eyes work differently. Your legs work differently. Your arms work differently. Your whole body works differently. Your neshama works differently. You're on fire. Why? Because you know that everything has a purpose. Taking a small sip of water has a purpose. Taking a bite out of a cookie has a purpose. Sitting down with your spouse has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. But you're not going to know all of this by yourself. That's why we have ministering to the sages. You have to have shimush chachamim. You have to be close to a chacham, or many chachamim, as many as you can find. Unfortunately, one of the nevuot that we read on Sunday, as it says in the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, and also Sotah and a few other places, that before Mashiach comes, there will not be many chachamim. There are some, Baruch Hashem, but not many.